probably should, so you want to read these or not?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
We're just deciding who's going to go where and what we're going to drop. Okay, everybody ready? Got their mics and stuff? Montrose certainly has several dedicated volunteers who do a great service to our community. What is the most positive thing you have done for the citizens of Montrose in the past year? And we'll start with Dave.
I think it's pretty easy for me to answer. It's basically making the decision for myself and with my wife to join the fire department here. I've been able to get to know Kevin, our fire chief, pretty well, and knowing the hardships that the department has on having volunteer firefighters, made the decision to join. And honestly, one of the most selfless things I think I've ever done in my life. More or less selfless thing my wife has ever done. She never sees me anymore. Maybe she enjoys that. I don't know. But not only being able to, at all hours of the day or night, respond to emergencies for everybody in this town, in Woodland Township, in Marysville, and Franklin, and then when we get on calls to help out Watertown or Delano or Buffalo. It's something that I take pride in, and something that, we're done. Oh.
Yeah, let's do for 1 minute.
Can we move that timer over here somewhere?
I'm stuck with a 4-foot HDMI cord. Unfortunately, that's the only thing they have. I got a little 3-incher, but it's not going to move. Okay, Michelle, what's the most positive thing you have done for the citizens of Montrose in the past year?
The past year, I have diligently fought to continue to get the Park and Rec Commission back and going, and we have a strong commission now that's working hard. They're actually messaging me right now because they're out decorating or looking at Halloween decorations. So, and getting the Montrose Days, which we are now Celebrate Montrose, working to get that up and going, because as I've mentioned multiple times, it's good to have the community involvement, good to keep this community active and supporting each other. So two of the things that is going to help keep that community together is the Park and Rec and the Town Celebration Committee. So I'm grateful to be a part of that, as well as Greg is on the Celebrate Committee as well. So that's what I've been working on this last 6 months to a year.
And Tammy.
I have not had the opportunities you guys have to serve, but that is exactly why I'm here. I would love the opportunity to serve more in the community and to help in whatever capacity I can do. And again, one of my strengths is communication, and I currently have spent most of my time being a good neighbor and working, being a good community member, getting to know a lot more of the community, but I have not joined the fire department. And I would love to be on the planning committee or any other. But the biggest reason I'm here is because I do feel like it's a time I can do more.
I may tag you back in and Greg for scouts again. You shared a little too much. Okay. Green space is very important for the residents. What is your vision for the regional park and green space in the city? And how will your plans impact the taxpayers of Montrose? And we're going to start with Michelle. This is a 1-minute question.
Regional Park has been around for years. It's been a tough task to be out there. It was property that was tax forfeiture for the city. So right now we got it to where there's soccer fields out there. We did have a sunflower field out there that was kind of a struggle. Community gardens, and we are looking at a grant right now to build up that park. We're waiting on a few things to come back from our city engineer. But I think it is something, we have a lot of parks in this town already. So I think building up that regional park you know, putting maybe a community center or something out there. But right now, it's tough because budgeting is tough for that, and there's a lot more things that are going on in the city. So even though I worked diligently to get that grant, and the grant is approved, coming up, because we have to, it's a matching grant, so.
Oh, sorry, no, come on.
It's a matching grant for out there, and we just have to come up with the money, and the budget is pretty tight on that right now, so. Yeah,
I stole a couple seconds from you.
that's okay.
And Tammy.
One of the things that impressed me when I was looking at our town is that we have 6 parks right here in town, and I was impressed because, again, one of the most admirable things about any community is where their priorities are, and ours have obviously been in parks and good community recreation. I also, again, have written grants and am great at doing homework on where we can find more money. Like I said, I started an entire business on an HRA grant, housing redevelopment, and it's there, it can be. And like you said, Michelle had already gotten one, we just have to match the money. But our priorities have to be right? I mean, people are having a struggle buying groceries right now. Picnic tables in a new place might not be the priority, but it will be soon enough. And I would just say keep looking for opportunities.
David?
Yeah, when it comes to the regional park, that's tough. You know, getting a $250,000 grant from the DNR to match that, and we thought the building was going to cost $500. Great, we have the $250 ready to go. That building now costs $900,000. And we also found out that the land we want to put it on isn't feasible. So for me, what I'd like to see is us, you know, we have to put this project on hold with the issues that we do have surrounding this town. And I think we can allocate some of that park money that we have into upgrading some of the equipment. If we look at Veterans Park, which I believe is the shining star of parks that we have. So upgrading that equipment, I think that's the allocation we should go with. We do have 10 parks in this town. We have what people tell us is a world-class disc golf course. So, you know, that's great.
It is?
It is, it's absolutely great. But again, I think that there's bigger issues to be taken care of before we move anything with the regional park at this time.
We touched base on this a little bit, but during COVID, Montrose Days was canceled in 2020, 2021, and we had an abbreviated event that was held in 2022, the Burgers in the Park event, and the Montrose Days has been disbanded, and a new organization has started up to celebrate Montrose because of some problems with the nonprofit status for that group. What is your vision for a community celebration event, and how would you help support it? And we'll start with Tammy.
Again, I would ask, what would you like? What would you like to have happen? What would be best for the community? Who's willing to do it? Greg did a fantastic job. I was there on Saturday morning before I had to go to work, so I didn't get to say hello, but I did get a burger.
It was a Scout burger. It's good, wasn't
It
it?
was delicious, and Greg got one. But I think the community has great ideas. I think the people that I've spoken to, I think they just need to be heard and decide what they can do. And what everybody struggles with balancing your time between family and community and work and all the responsibilities and business that we have. So I think if we turn it back to the community, and I think that's kind of what happened this last year to get it going again, when people stepped up. And I think this town is full of people who are willing to step up. If they know that something needs to be done and they have a talent and can do that, then I think they're willing. And that's what makes us a strong community. That was an awesome event that the Scouts and Greg did.
And time. I had lots of helpers. And Dave.
Yeah, when it comes to the celebration in town, I was the liaison for the Montrose Day Celebration Committee, and those ladies worked endlessly to try and make it happen. They were in tears when they had to end up disbanding what was planned. I think in order to make it work, not only do all organizations in the city need to come together and work together on it, but the community actually needs to step up and help. That's myself, that's everybody here. It's not going to get done with 5 people. It's going to take a whole community to put on a celebration, and if people want it, we have to show up. We have to help. And I think that Greg, Michelle, and your team are doing a great start. And I think that you guys can get the involvement from the other organizations to make this happen. And I can't wait to see it because I haven't had a celebration since I've been here. And I've loved one. The version of the park was great though, like it was.
And Michelle?
Like David said, the previous board members, they worked hard and they struggled with whether it was getting community involvement, the tax issues that they had, and all of that stuff. But, it took a group of us to just continue to say, hey, this is important, so we need to continue with it. We have a great group now. We're on our way. We've got our tax ID numbers. We've got our bank accounts. We're on our way to getting our 501. I've made it a point to go and talk to each of our organizations, whether it's our royalty, our Lions, the churches, all of that. You got to make that face-to-face contact to get them to buy back into it, and let them know that we're still here. We're still going to make this work. So working with the Lions, I'm working with the Ugly Bar, he's one of my sponsors. I have a dance, we got a dance going on tomorrow night. He's sponsoring, our DJ. It's working, and we have to go and talk to the people. Don't wait for them to come to us. We have to go to them and let them know that, we're here, help us out, and we're a community. And to be a part of this community, it's working together. So.
I would add one thing to that in looking at funding for fireworks and funding for band. Those are 2 big
I think I have one. I've talked to the Lions about sponsoring a band. So,
cool. So
it's
those are 2 big ticket issues that we've got. Mm-hmm. And I will say that the Montrose Days Committee, not to give them any bad rep or anything, they did an awesome job. Unfortunately, they were handed an undoable or an immovable object that they could not get over, around, through, or up under. And so because of that, and not being able to be a nonprofit status organization, we had to start new. And that's where we're at now, and we want to be able to build on that. So that's a big piece of it, is that building new, volunteerism, community support, business support, and funding. And I'll get off my soapbox.
All right, the next question, you get 1 minute. City planning, infrastructure, processes, and budget. Recently, we have seen projects that have exceeded expected budgets. The settling pond sludge cleanout and mowing and grounds maintenance. What will you do to ensure sound management of city maintenance processes, ensuring maintenance schedules are adhered to, reduce overall costs, and prevent cost overruns for city maintenance items that are allowed to lapse over the years? And
That one we start with Dave.
oh, okay, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, so the wonderful sludge that we had, 2,000 tons, and this was well over 16 years of not getting taken care of. So understand that with Danny as Public Works Director, I've talked with him to ensure that we are looking at this on a yearly basis to ensure that we don't have a tax bill of $195,000 to remove solid waste. That was a huge hit, but something that needed to get done. So those little things need to happen. When it comes to the mowing this summer, yes, we have contracted out because our public works team is out working on this road construction. What we failed to recognize is that we needed a new mower. That's minimum $30,000. We needed gas, we needed maintenance on this, and we also needed workers, which we could not get seasonal workers, nobody can. So it was best to move that to a contract, and I'm very happy with what he has done.
Going out the sludge. It has been many years that has been an issue, and it has been talked about through different public works directors, and it's all about the cost and the budget and how we're going to do it. So thankfully it's being taken care of now, and hopefully moving forward it won't be such a big hit on the budget. As for the lawn mowing service, that was a big thing for me, because I would go, as being Park and Rec Commission, I would go out and look at the parks, and I would see that not all of them were what I expected in the city. So, and we were paying a lot of money, it's gonna be $50,000 to $70,000 for 26 to 28 weeks. That's a lot of money. And the city didn't really try to even get seasonal work, you know. I actually went to a city council meeting and talked to them about what the cost differential would have been if we even attempted to get city employees, seasonal employees, at $19, $20 an hour compared to what we paid for a lawn service. The lawn service has greatly improved, but.
Okay, Tammy.
Do you want me to repeat the question? No, thank you.
If you do, just say.
Thank you.
Any of you.
I struggle to not say anything critical about anybody who's made their best effort. I know as a business owner what it's like to try to get employees. We just had a conversation during the break. Tell me what your name is here. Ellen. Ellen and I were just talking about the huge disaster that our Dollar General is. And after speaking about it for a few minutes, she said, I'm thinking about getting a job there. And I'm like, yes. I'm doing a job at Menards that I'm maybe a little overqualified for, yes, but I feel like I'm doing something that's helping, and I'm helping in the community. You can't pay people $19 an hour to come and mow the lawn. There are teenagers that will do that anymore, and people with families can't afford to do that anymore. So it's going to cost a lot more to get things like that done. I am not a proponent of that. I am a huge proponent of that.
I may have needed a little more time on that question, huh?
Yeah.
We'll move to 2-minute questions.
All right, city planning, safe drinking water, manganese. One of the hot issues of concern for many residents is the high levels of manganese in city water, which was determined to be a public health issue in recent years by the Minnesota Department of Health. Removal of this in city water would require a new water treatment plant at an estimated cost of over $10 million. How would you address the manganese issue, and how would you address the extremely high cost of a new treatment plant?
Michelle.
And Michelle.
The manganese issue was just recently brought to the city council. I think within the last year, maybe the reports came back. And they've had quite the struggle in dealing with this. It's going to be, wastewater treatment plant, just finding it in the budget. I honestly don't know how to answer this question because it's a lot of money. Working with Waverly, working with the state, I don't know, that's a tough one. I don't have an answer for that one.
I'm not sure I have exactly the answer, but one thing I'm certain of is that, like anything, when you manage your home, we were just discussing this, if you need a new roof, you're going to plan for it, and you're going to put a new roof on the house before it falls in and ruins everything on the inside of your house. I think it's important to not stand and point fingers at people that didn't do something 10 years ago or 20 years ago that could have or should have been done. And it gets nowhere. It's a waste of energy as far as I'm concerned. So I feel like we need to look forward at what needs to be done. We need to get all the input and all the grants and all the help we can from anybody that has ideas about any of it in order to get it done. Because again, we are not a third world country, and we are not the armpit of Wright County. And we can have clean water and nice streets and good sewers, and it will cost, but like the roof on your house, some things have to be paid for. You find a way. But like I said, there's grants, there's help from the state, there's federal aid, there's aid from the health departments. If you do your homework and look, there is money there to help us. But no matter what, it has to be done. You can't not put the roof on the house just because it's going to cost a lot of money. But the advantage is just like the advantage of the streets. You spend a lot of money on it, but look what it's done for the city. Look what the look it's going to enable the town to have. When other businesses come and look at it, they're going to say, this is a darling little town. And they have great water, and we don't have to worry about our whites not being white. Those are big deals for me, I know. So to me, again, basics. You got to take care of the roof, you got to take care of the water, you got to take care of the sewage. Nobody would live in without them. And you got to do it before. And when they weren't done before, you can't stand around and point fingers at people that didn't do it.
Yeah, when it comes to water treatment facility, yeah, we're looking at 10 million plus to build this out. First step is to put it into the capital improvement plan. We need to start budgeting for it now. Second is working with our state representatives, our senators in the area that represent us, and we have been, to get grants, to get bonds, to get into bills to where the state can help us financially with this. These are all projects that we are working on tirelessly right now to get done. And hopefully, we can get more momentum through Joe McDonald or Bruce Anderson if they win their election to continue to help us down this path. They fully support this. They know the need for it. And unfortunately, our levels have been the same. The state just made a different plan of what the levels need to be at now. That's where we're at. That's why it's now a public health crisis. There's 186 towns in our same situation because of this. And I want to put a little bit at ease where if the water wasn't fully safe, the state would shut the water down. We wouldn't have water anymore, okay? But we as a city are working towards finding that solution, and that to me is the number one thing that this town needs, because it's safety of our citizens, it's safety of our children, and it's safety of our future, okay? So I think that I wish it were an overnight fix. It's just not going to be, but we're working on it day in and day out to get it done.
Public safety. Recent events have caused many to have concerns about public safety. The cost of police services from Wright County Sheriff remains a large budget item for the city, yet there are gaps in coverage times. We have seen issues of crime in the city, including breaking and entering, theft, defacing property. What changes or actions would you take to ensure public safety for citizens, ensure they feel safe in the city, and how would you pay for them? We'll start with you, Tammy.
It's funny, you should ask. I was married to a police officer for 29 years and 11 months, but who's counting, right? I understand the need for safety. It's, again, put your money where your mouth is. What are your priorities? What do you want to pay for? Do you want to have a safe community? Are there other means? Are there neighborhood watch programs that we can get started? Are there, what else can be done? You turn to the community and, oh my goodness, someone just called me the other day and said, hey, if you get elected, actually what she said is, when you get elected, would you please do something about the, where we dump the leaves, the compost? And she said, I can't get there on those times and that days. And she had a great idea. Other communities are doing with the little scan card and $5 for the people that want to use it. And I'm like, that's brilliant. I didn't think of that, but the community does have ideas, and there are things that can be done to support police departments without having someone on duty all the time. It's, again, one of those things. What do we want? What do we need? Is that a priority? Is it a roof? Is it drinking water? Is it being able to flush the toilets? Is it safety? Those are high on my priority list. So there are ways it can be done. We just have to find them. Do our homework until we get them.
Yeah, when it comes to public safety, I think Wright County has done a tremendous job for our town throughout the time that I've been here. Not only getting the reports monthly from them, but also being on the department, I get to converse with a lot of them when we're on calls or when we're in the station. They'll stop by and say hi. If the concern is for more hours, that's definitely on the table. We've talked with Sheriff Derringer. I know that he wants to get us to a full 24 hours at some point here in the next few years. And I think that if that's a concern, then we can push that and move it forward. There is added cost to it. That is a thing. But if that's a concern that this city has, then it's our job as council to get that done and make that happen. I've had issues of, different things happening in town where I get called on a Sunday night from a citizen that they've contacted the sheriff and a noise ordinance or this or that, and nothing's happened, and kind of go through that. Well, a lot of our ordinances are stuck in the wrong kind of frame within our city, so we're working right now tirelessly mostly on when it comes to parking issues. Those are all in zoning, need to be moved over to the correct one, but I think that this community has a wonderful group of sheriff deputies that work this town. Get to know them. They're all wonderful. They all want to get to know each and every one of you as well. And I think working with them, working together, we can ensure the safety of this town. But besides that point with the sheriff, get to know your neighbors. Look out for each other. I know in my neighborhood, all of our neighbors have Ring doorbells, and you need to get one, Dave. Well, why? Well, because we all have one, you need one too. So we all have doorbells now together.
Community safety is working with the Sheriff's Department. I have good rapport with Sheriff Derringer. Worked with him for many years, as well as the officers that come in here into town. We actually invite the officers to come into our community meal so that we can find out what's going on, what we can do to keep things safe. We've got a couple different neighborhood watch programs here within the city. It's keeping, like you say, you've got to talk with your neighbors, watch out for each other. Adding more hours, we've added hours throughout the years. It is a large, costly expense, but what are you willing to pay for the safety of everybody that's around here? The Sheriff's Department, the deputies that come around, they are around, and it's nice when we sit and we talk to them, getting them out when the kids are out and about, getting them friendly and letting the kids come up and talk with them so that they build that rapport, and they're a part of this community too. So back in the day when we were younger, the officers would always come out, and whether it be a baseball card or whatever, and now we've got our officers that are out doing that again. So it's really nice to see them being active with the kids and making them feel comfortable, because this is a crazy world right now. We got to support our law enforcement, and that's just how we build the community.
Nope, we'll go back. I switched. Okay, this will be a 1-minute response time on economic development and growth. We have many housing starts within the city, mostly single-family homes over the past few years. There's also a significant need for senior housing for the near future in this area, and we also need to look at increasing tax capacity to reduce taxes overall. What are your plans for managing growth in residential and non-residential housing for this city? And we'll start with Dave.
Yeah, like I said, to ensure growth, but also maintain a safe level. You know, we're at capacity now. We need to build off of that and figure out what we need to do to build out that infrastructure that's needed. But when it comes to ensuring we have enough housing for seniors, we have the safety of not just putting house over house over house. I think that I'm committed to making sure that the guidelines set by these developers and what they do will adhere to what the city wants. You know, talking with a few people here today, you know, we had a developer that tried to put in way too many homes in an area, and we shot that down. And that's something that, again, we want rooftops, but we want it done the right way. And I think that we need to look at what the needs are for this town. If there's a need for, you know, more apartment complexes, more senior living, we need to get those right developers in here to make that happen.
Michelle?
With senior living, I'm not sure if I completely agree with that. I work in senior living, so it's hard. I mean, it's not what it used to be, you know. It used to be where seniors would come in at 60, 65 years old and get into that senior apartment or senior community or whatever. They're more independent now, so they're waiting 70, 80 years old before they're coming into senior living. So, but it's really tough to bring in, you know, these rooftops when, like we've said on multiple times, we can't really handle it, for lack of better terms, I guess. You know, until we get our water situation, our wastewater treatment plants. There's so much more that we need to think about before we move forward with that. So.
Okay.
I have some strong opinions on this very subject. There are different degrees of density in any community. You have, of course, high, medium, and low density. Most of Montrose right now is low density. We have a few high density spots, so there are more, a lot more houses in a smaller space, apartments, duplexes, that type of thing. My concern and what's important to me is that when we are able, that we do make the decisions moving forward. I personally don't think that we should have an overabundance of apartments or high-density population for one reason only. If you have a community of just 100 people and 25% of those are in a situation where they need help or they're not paying the taxes that the rest of the community is supporting, it's difficult to support that. If you have 50% of your population that's high density.
And time. This will also be a 1-minute response because we've covered some of it. It's a 2-part question. What are your thoughts on creating a business-friendly environment and bringing new business to Montrose with an expectation that they will be successful? And also, how would you promote existing businesses and work to get more of them engaged with our EDA, our Economic Development Authority? Michelle.
That one's that's an easy one, because one of our newer businesses, it's not a new business, but it's new owners, is the Ugly Bar. And it's just working with them and getting them involved in the community. They really want to be a part of our community. They want to change what people see them. You know, they are the Ugly Bar, but they want to change that whole outlook and make it more family friendly. So working with them is a huge thing in helping support them. The businesses that we have here in town, Dollar General, we know is struggling. every day, we see it on the community pages, but we still have to support them. We still have to, they're working their tails off, so we got to be there. It's sad to see that Headlands, but we got to work with EDA to promote that building. Untieds, talk to Untieds. What are they going to do over there? Just show them that we're a community that's going to be, that is here to help them. Any business that comes into town, we're here to help them. So.
Tammy?
Absolutely, community support, community, people getting along, people are coming to Montrose that want to establish wholesome businesses, and they're going to need our support. And I think getting a job at the Dollar General or whatever we have to do, eating at the Ugly Bar, supporting is a great idea. But if they can't stay afloat because they can't get employees, then maybe we need to volunteer some time. Do we have scouts that can do that? Maybe not. We had volunteers at some of the businesses that I have owned, and there's liability issues sometimes, but you can get support. If the community really wants some wholesome business in here, then they're going to support it. If we have a business like the Ugly Bar, I actually hadn't been there, but I do know a family that said, yeah, it's kind of cool. But knowing that there's someone that just took over that wants it to be more family friendly and more wholesome community type business and involved in the community is awesome. And that's the kind of business that we need to encourage. And again, it's just support, letting people know, asking people, what can you do? Can
It's
you
time.
do it?
You're on the 2 minute one, so
Oh,
1
I'm
minute.
sorry, I'm on the 2-minute one.
Okay.
And Dave? We changed it to a 1 minute. I'm sorry. Nope.
Sorry, Rick.
I'm watching though.
I know, I'm glad you are.
Go ahead, Dave.
Absolutely. Again, we talk about bringing businesses in. If it's the bigger style businesses, it's more rooftops in this town. If it's bringing in small locally owned businesses, we have to do a job as a city. I look at Annandale as an instance. They built up a nice building, and they basically call them an incubator. So they have spaces for multiple businesses to open up. They get 2 years to start their business. The town supports them, surrounding neighborhoods support them, and then they move out and they can start their own, get their own thing. I think that's a great something to look at as a way to build up entrepreneurs in this town, build up business owners in this town. Secondly, looking at the Montrose Net Lights, as I call them, CCC, I had a conversation with them. They're our largest employer. And I tasked Matt over there to become more involved with EDA, get somebody involved more with our Montrose Waverly Chamber. That needs to happen. We need all these businesses a part of that to support each other to bring in more businesses as well.
Okay, this will be the last question. It's a 2-minute question before we give you 2 minutes to wrap up your thoughts. Okay? This one has to do with city planning. City of Montrose has an aging infrastructure. The capital improvement plan, or the CIP, and the 5-year plan have not been updated since 2017. How will you address planning and funding for Montrose City infrastructure replacements, updates, and improvements over the next 5 years, as well as an extended plan for the next 20 to 25 years? And we'll start with Tammy.
I was actually just reading that report the other day. It was interesting. And again, I'm trying to do my homework. I'm asking lots of questions. But one of the things that struck me is that the planning needs to be there. And we need to take baby steps. It's going to take baby steps. The community has not been what everybody wants it to be for a while. I don't know, someone told me since 18-something when it was founded, but I don't believe that. I believe that we're moving in a direction. I believe that we are making better choices, that we are going to develop it in a way that's going to be more positive. It already is. but it will be baby steps. It isn't going to happen overnight. Nobody has a small fortune to spend on the things that we have to have. So I think just baby steps in the direction of what we have existing right now. And then, you know, getting out of this pandemic era with our heads on has been a challenge for some people. But I really believe that there are more people in this community that want what's best for the community. I've met them, I've talked with them, I've knocked on their doors. I just know that the city is going to go in a positive direction and move toward what it needs to do in order to fix those. But it's going to take time. And it's going to take small decision upon small decision. And even the report needing to be updated. But those things cost thousands of dollars just to do the report. The reports are important. One of the businesses that I opened, I actually used the report to do a demographic study in order to go and pitch it to my funders. So you have to.
And time. Dave?
Yes, you know, when looking at the capital improvement plan, 5, 10, 20, yeah, it is out of date now. It is something that has been talked about over this past year, and something that we continue to work on. I do feel that we need to be actively talking about that as we go, not just waiting until things pass us by. There are a lot of projects that I think people have on their minds to get done. And I think that we need to start planning it out, putting it together, putting it on paper, and actually planning for it. There's a way to make that happen, and it starts by what we're doing now with looking at the old stuff that's on there, updating it, and putting together something that, again, this town is looking for, this town wants, and this town needs. So, you know, how we budget for that. You know, it's very simple. You have to look at what the tax base is. You have to look at planning out your taxes every year as far as the budget for the city. And are we going to, you know, put $250,000 in this bucket for a need, or are we going to put that $250,000 in a want? What's more important to this town? And I think that that's where the city, the citizens, their voices need to be heard. And we need to know what we all want for this town. So in order to do so, we're putting the money in the right spot to save up for those things. Obviously, the biggest thing, water treatment, that's a bucket that's going to be important for all of us. And so that's going to be a plan. I'd like to say get it done in a couple of years. I really would. Is it not possible? Yeah. Is it something that I think is realistic in working with the state? Hopefully. Hopefully they care about us enough. You know, hopefully we can speak our minds up on that. So again, it's being smart with the budget, it's planning, and it's not just pushing things down the road.
Michelle?
Well, I was lucky enough to be a part of that capital improvement plan that does need to be worked on again. And with that was part of the road project. We budgeted, you know, we looked at that years ago. And so we knew that this was going to be coming up. Plan for it. You work with your city consultants, your engineers, city planners, all that kind of stuff. And just, you know, we look at everything, like David said, you look at everything throughout the town that needs to be improved on. We also have a park and trail plan that's out of 2016, 17, somewhere in there. You know, we work on that too. And sometimes those two things go together. You know, whether it's the parks and trails that we have to work on with our capital improvement plan. You know, it's finding the budget, working it through, seeing, you know, where we can put part of our LGA here, or, you know, the general fund, moving stuff from our park funds. It's just, you know, we have Michael who's doing a great job in helping us out with helping the city council out with all of that kind of stuff. And it's just talking to the citizens here that are in town. What do you want to see? What do you want us to work on? what's important to you guys. And just finding it in the budget, whether it's grants, whatever we need to do to help improve the city of Montrose.
And the church music tells me it's 9 o'clock. So next we'll do a wrap-up statement. Please take 2 minutes and give us your final wrap-up statement directed to the voters of Montrose. Dave, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. What I want to say is that, again, I might not be a lifelong resident of this town, but I have devoted my time to this town in the short time that we've been here. I want to continue to do so. I want to continue to serve everybody that's here, everybody that lives here. And again, I want to be that voice for the people that think they don't have one. I want to be able to have discussion, have disagreements, but also in a positive manner where we're finding out the right way, the right path moving forward. Not everything that is in my head on what we should do is the right thing, and that's where I need everybody else to tell me what they're looking for. In the 2 years that I've been on council, having citizens reach out to me that I didn't know prior on issues going on in their area or whatnot, I'm there within 45 minutes, drop of a hat, doesn't matter when it is. And I want to be able to be the one that says, I helped make this happen to ensure that you can live happily. And I think that that's the plan here for what I want to do. I also see a lot of growth happening in this town. I don't want to see 40, 50,000 people in 25 years here. I don't think anybody does. But I think in order to get to the levels, get to the amenities that we want, we have to grow. We can still be a veteran community, still be true to who we are. But I think at the end of the day, looking at Delano, looking at Buffalo, I want to be better than those two. I want Wright County to look at us and go, man, Montrose came from nowhere, and look at them now. They're flourishing. We get enough businesses in town, taxes go down. We get enough houses in town, we get more business. We're able to do the things that we want to do for this town. And at the end of the day, I'm here to serve you. I don't have an ego when I come and sit down. I do when I'm outside.
And Michelle?
I don't know how I'm going to follow that.
I just want to trip you up.
Right, exactly.
Turn the mic down or
Good job. I have been a voice for this town for many years. Some may like it, some may not. But I always do what's best for the city. I don't look at what I personally think is best for the city. I look at what the residents think is best for the city. As we've said throughout these last couple hours, it's bringing community together, and I'm going to continue to do that, whether I'm on the city council or if I'm not. That kind of shows the leadership skills that I have. I continue to work and get the Park and Rec going, getting the town celebrations going. I'm also a part of the community meals. It's all about bringing community together and helping, Montrose have a better reputation than what we've had in the past. Some of the things you've heard, are not always good things. So we need to change that. We need to continue to work on changing that because it's not going to happen overnight. Bringing businesses here and supporting them and just, working with city staff. I still work with city staff and, still work with city council. I'm kind of a pain sometimes to them, but it's because I want what's best for the city. I'm very passionate about the city and wanting, I've raised 4 kids here, and there's a lot of growth that we can have. There's a lot of growth that we can continue to do. So I hope to have your support, and I'm here to be a voice for everybody that's here.
And Tammy?
Thank you again for everything, for setting this up, for those of you who've come, for whoever is going to watch it later. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I would like to help the town more than I've had an opportunity to do so far. At the last city council meeting that I was at, there was a resident that came up that had a particular issue, and it was very important to him, extremely important to him, because it affected his lifestyle and how he's lived here for 44 years. And from the back of the room, I yelled something as simple as, and I probably shouldn't have yelled from the back of the room, but I wanted my voice to be heard. I just yelled, "Can't that be grandfathered in?" And then everyone was going, yeah, we could do that. We could grandfather that in. He's been here 44 years. This shouldn't change his life. What we're doing, the improvements that we're making, should not affect his life in a negative way. And I feel like that's a perfect example of what I want to do for the city. I would like to be a part of helping people express their needs, listening to what they need, cheering them on when they decide to get a job at Dollar General. Those are things that we need done. They might seem small or little, or even yelling from the back of the room, can it be grandfathered in? It's just what I feel like I can add to a situation, bringing a little humor, a little experience from years of experience in many communities that I've had opportunity to serve in. And I have not done, again, what you two have done, but I would love to have an opportunity to. I would love to be a part of a positive growth in Montrose. And I would love to be a part of bringing the community together and helping.
And kind. That concludes our forum. Tammy, you want to come join me up here? First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all the candidates and Drew in his absence. I appreciate your passion for serving. I appreciate your passion for wanting to continue to serve in Montrose. And regardless of the outcome of the election, I hope you will still step forward and be that change, or be the change you want to see in Montrose. For all the citizens who came tonight, I really appreciate your being here, taking time out to learn more about the candidates. And I also appreciate your passion for making sure that our representatives represent your interest in our community. So I look forward to serving with you, and I look forward to serving with everyone out here. It'll be my pleasure to continue. So thank you guys.
I just realized you were being figurative. You didn't really want me to walk up here.
No, okay. I'm sorry I was talking about Karen, but sorry.